Hello, listeners. Casey Kasem here again, forced by the APD bags of douche to let you know about a podcast crossover episode. Podcast crossover episode? Well, that's just the fucking nerdiest sentence that's ever been said. Anyway, for some reason, Mike Seibert of Mike Seibert Radio interviewed the boys, and that episode will be dropping on his podcast April 10th. In fact, just go listen to Mike Seibert Radio. It's a much better podcast about pop culture, movies, and music than the disgusting garbage pit that is the Autopod Decepticast. Mike Seibert Radio is on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Stitcher. That's SEIBERT. Now, on with the inferior show.
Grimlock say we on our way. Ugh.
Megatron must be stopped, no matter the cost.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Autopod Decepticast. This is your weekly podcast that delivers a minute-by-minute breakdown of the 1986 Transformers movie. This is episode 55. We're going to be covering 5401 to the 55-minute mark. I'm your host, Aaron, and I'd like to introduce my co-hosts, two men who, I'm fairly certain, never wore colorful overalls with a single strap stylishly dangling off their shoulders. Gentlemen, please introduce yourselves and also tell me what 90s clothing styles did you indulge in?
Oh.
And what did you avoid?
Caleb is aggressively shaking his head as if he is ready with his answer. My name is Ryan, and I will say in the leitmotif of this podcast where we talk about you, Aaron, and I ripping each other off, I remember, I think you were maybe the first person in my circle group who started doing the t-shirt with the flannel shirt over top of it, or just dress shirt over top of it. And I remember
Grunge days,
yes,
perhaps?
adopting that that look, and although I also tucked all my shirts into my pants, so I looked like an insane person.
You've always been very formal. At least starting in high school, you were very formal in your manner of dress.
It's true. I'm a dandy, a bit of a dandy,
A fop, if you will.
Caleb.
I didn't go grunge. I went through a short period of really being into Apparatus brand sweaters. Apparatus was a brand where you would buy them and they would have patches sewn to them. And not like patches like you're patching a hole, but like patches of like, you know, different...
logos and stuff?
Yeah.
Or like you're a human race car?
Kind of, but it was more like Ivy League looking. Do they still make Apparatus sweaters? Anyway, so Apparatus. So basically, like kind of a more of a fresh, like with a chain, like you would. It's like you would. I was ready to be cast at any given moment on different worlds.
Right. I was going to say, were you going to be in a Spike Lee movie?
Like House Party 2?
It's like Dwayne Wayne. The flippy sunglasses.
Oh, those I was very envious of those. I always wanted those glasses.
A quick aside, that's a badass sweater.
That is a badass sweater. Jacquard.
Can I see that real quick?
Jacquard sweater.
I
don't
back
know
on
much
track.
about it here.
That is a fucking badass
I don't know
sweater.
anything about it, but it is cool. I tried to Google search Apparatus sweater to get a visual on what you're talking about, but I think I can picture it, and I think I can picture you in it.
I have a picture of
You had a
myself
high
in
and
it.
tight as a kid in high school, I recall you as the type of person that would wear a necklace.
I
did.
on
This formal
this was
In
early
addition
on.
to Blake, our friend Blake, he was
So
very
that was the
suave
thing.
gentleman.
I got over that pretty quick, but that was the thing.
Urban style was just really kind of kicking off in the 90s, like in becoming mainstream pop culture.
like the African colors, like the green,
Right,
the
that,
yellow,
and,
red.
and things like that. Like what you're talking about certainly sounds like urban style. Jams were. I don't know if you'd call those urban style, but we wore hammer pants in 8th grade.
Did.
I don't know if you'd call. I don't know if technically technically they were just
They
like,
weren't technically
they were
hammer pants.
really
They were just
stylish,
baggy. Like, yeah, it was like thin,
textured.
yeah,
and
just
like
big poofy pants. And
really
I
cool
wore
graphics on them.
I wore a
They
wore
might
a
have been
fanny
more
pack.
skate culture. Maybe it was like where skate culture and hammer culture combined. I don't know.
Yeah, and I wore a fair amount of hypercolor and OP.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
In high school, I wore a little bit of cross colors, which I think overlaps in what Caleb is talking about, which I think is a very urban kind of brand. And so as like a Midwestern white guy to wear cross colors, it felt fresh as hell.
Yeah, it's like I stepped out of a Color Me Bad video.
Oh, girl, I think I love you. I'm always thinking of you. I want you to know I'll do it all for love. God, we should all definitely be singing over like one of those fire canisters in Philadelphia, like
Absolutely.
Rocky will run by, jog by us.
Yeah.
Hey, yo,
And be
Rocco!
like, hey, shut up. Yeah.
Well, this is maybe started better than any intro we've ever done before.
Certainly better than the last few, I think.
Last episode recap. Oh, the horror as we saw the final surviving member of the Lithonian civilization murdered by the Sharkticons. But a little levity as the Dinobots bicker for some reason.
God,
All they do is just act like assholes for no reason.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that dissimilar than it is in the show. It's pretty unbearable in the show. Like but they're not buffoons in the show. They're just dumb and like they make mistakes. But I don't.
They might be buffoons. I don't remember.
know.
I haven't watched the show in a while.
I don't know.
I can't imagine they just recreated the characters for this movie.
It's true. I don't know. I guess what I'm getting down to is I just don't like the way they're portrayed.
They're really annoying.
It is true. It's annoying. But I mean, as a kid, I don't remember being annoying. So maybe that was the point. Is this is a kid's movie? But it's,
As a kid, you liked dinosaurs, and you were just
True.
like,
Yeah.
"Holy fucking
No,
shit!"
that's probably one reason they kept them in the movie, because I mean, especially in the,
They're
the
popular,
80s.
super popular.
Yeah, dinosaurs.
And we brought this up a little bit before we went on mic of talking about this was more last episode I forgot to bring up, but where Grimlock hits Slag with his tail and knocks him over, preventing him from stepping in the spike pit. And we were debating as to whether that was because he was trying to save him or whether it was because he was frustrated. I think we all came down on
It seems like he was
it's just
frustrated.
coincidence and he was frustrated.
And then they never addressed it ever again.
Well, the reason I think it had to be coincidence is because in the script deviations, we came to understand that there were multiple traps actually that were not actually included in the movie, including a tree swinging down, a tree of swords swinging down and almost hitting Swoop, or maybe trying to knock him out of the sky, and also a trap that was what was the other one?
Does their stupidity protect them?
I think
somehow?
that was the joke, like that they're like somehow or another their ignorance kept them safe. Yes,
It's also confusing because it's like it takes place in a mid shot, so it's not clear that it's like as a kid I was like,
It's
did he
cut
hit
weird.
himself with his tail
Yeah,
or did Grimlock hit his tail?
It's a weird
bit.
I always felt like though even as a kid watching it, I always felt like it was their argument that kept him from falling in the pit.
Sure,
that was me.
I would agree.
Personally. So we kick things off in the middle of sort of an elemental deli discussion.
Yes.
Grimlock is growling very aggressively. It looks like things are about to get heated again for no reason. When we hear a strange voice calling in the background. Caleb, I think you should imitate this, as I think you've imitated this character in the past.
Friend, fine, look behind. Friend, fine, look behind.
You can stop now.
Friend, fine, look behind.
No, we've lost all our listeners
You asked me to do it.
and never stopped
Friend,
doing.
fine, look
Oh,
behind.
God damn, not 900 times.
All right.
And Grimlock is, what's up? Who said that? And emerging from behind what I can only call a robotic jungle is a small orange robotoid, one who we know has been following Cup and Hot Rod. It jumps quite high, marches right up Sludge's tail to the top of his head to introduce himself to the group with a classic insult.
You go wrong way, you fool, I say.
Interesting,
Wonderful.
different line read, but that's.
I don't know how he. I don't.
That's why-
I,
that's
don't-
why-
I don't-
Perfect rendition.
I don't know how he. I don't know how he. I don't know the inflection, so I'm just.
You
I
go
love
wrong
it.
way, you fool, I say.
You go wrong way, you fool! I say.
There we go. Nailed it.
So I did it like you go wrong way, you fool.
You go
I
wrong
say.
It might have been my comma placement.
I'm gonna give you 15 different versions. Here we go.
Oh Jesus, I'd hate to be in that recording.
Oh
state.
God.
Who does the voice of him?
Well, we'll get to
Well,
that later.
wait for it.
So Grimlock, reasonably offended, fool, and then Wheelie delivers this line that
Picture you got, now fool you not.
This is another example of me not understanding what he said. The picture, you fool, never understood what he said there.
me either.
The second part, I thought he was saying, no fool you not, which is two double negatives saying you're
Right.
still a fool.
right.
Meanwhile, there's this crazy music, weird.
Oh,
I don't
yeah.
know how music.
Yeah.
There's weird sound effects in the background. Like
All
amazing.
three of us just noticed this weird
It's really
music, and I'll try to
disorienting.
isolate some of it to.
Really
We just need to
disorienting.
figure out what Vince DiCola jam it
It's
was.
crazy.
I'm sure it's just part of a Vince DiCola part of the score.
But it's like nothing we've seen in the movie up to this point.
It's trippy.
Friend find, look behind. You go wrong way, you fool, I say.
Me Grimlock fool?
Picture you got, no fool you not.
It's trippy. After Wheelie delivers that line, he laughs in a wild metallic cackle, and as if Grimlock wasn't already pissed off, now he's fucking livid.
He just fucking knocks him
And
straight
he
off.
publicizes his distaste for the small creamsicle robot and knocks him
Oh boy.
right the fuck off Sludge's head. In response, the creature from the ground pulls out a slingshot, which he uses to disperse hot justice to Grimlock's nose.
And that is interesting because, that's at like 54:33, and that is I had a one of the Big Looker books where Wheelie uses a slingshot. I mean, it's more of a sling, not a slingshot, but to use burning coals as his weapon.
There's some interesting. We'll get into that. I think probably in our script deviations. I've got a whole section on Wheelie, I believe. Yes, I do, or a little bit on Wheelie that touches on that. I think that there's some evolution of the character.
I don't think I even have Wheelie in mind, but we'll see. Up to this point, but who knows?
Wait a minute. That's like. I don't think we have him, or maybe we do.
I can't remember if
see.
I don't think Wheelie, at least to the point I've read up to in my script, has shown up in mine.
Oh, weird. Okay.
Ryan just
We'll get there.
He doesn't necessarily follow along with the movie. He's just like, I'm done reading for today.
No. I'm trying to keep along with the movie, but it's not like I'm trying not to read ahead, is what I'm getting at.
Sure.
Grimlock gets hit in the face. Ow! And he asks the universal question, "Why, boy, hit my nose?"
I don't like it. I don't like it. It's like, and then it's this whole bit is painful. Like this whole scene with the Dinobots is painful to me.
Well, that's because the
is.
Dinobots are painful, and as adults, we hate them.
It's so
As a kid, they were
ridiculous.
cool, huh?
I just said it's so ridiculous.
Yeah. It is. They're the worst. But in response to that, Wheelie says
no.
maybe his most iconic line of the whole movie.
Wheelie say find friends today.
And then the fucking Grimlock.
He joins the
rhyming. I hate it.
Thing.
I hate
It's like it's the anybody
You got it.
want a peanut moment of this
It
movie.
is. And then they just
I want peanut.
can we? But that I don't hate. Like that's at least clever. This is just
And
making
charming
them
and sweet.
Yeah.
insufferable.
Right.
Again.
So they continue their walk through the chrome jungle. As the camera pans out, we fade to Unicron and his creepy theme song.
I love it. I love the Unicron theme song. It's one of my favorites. That bow bow. There we go.
Oh
Yeah, Galvatron back at Unicron. It's standing on his stomach or whatever.
So his maw begins to open in that spiky squid mouth anus fashion that it does, and reveals Galvatron, minuscule in comparison, standing on a ledge, ready to address his master. And that's really...
That's where it ends, basically.
I never noticed before. I'm pausing at 54:57. Galvatron just kind of... It looks like he's just kind of
It looks like he's sitting,
on
but
the edge.
and we also see the revenge a few seconds before that.
That's
off in the
right.
background,
Very
and then,
tiny. I don't know if earlier as a child I ever noticed all that. But anyway, that is where the minute ends, guys. So that brings me to a discussion topic.
Okay.
Wheelie. Annoying character or most annoying character?
This is like this is a bit we've done. I started doing this where I essentially stole this question from Stephen Colbert.
Everyone. There's a lot of annoying characters on here that have their own special attributes. It's hard to say he's the most annoying.
I don't think it is.
I say he is definitely an annoying character. I would say he's not in my book.
Are you going to say Daniel is the most?
No, Daniel's a victim of circumstance in this movie. I would say
Isn't Wheelie? I mean, I think we'll find that Wheelie is as
I'm
we
not
dig
saying
into
he's
our
the most
script
annoying.
deviations.
I'm saying the Dinobots are really annoying to me.
That's a good point.
They're really annoying to me.
I don't know, because I always as a kid also, the Dinobots were always one of my favorites.
Oh yeah, when I was a kid. I'm talking about now.
I know, I'm just saying that as a child they were some of my favorites, so like it's hard for me to find them that annoying.
Hey, Wheelie.
What's weird is his little
Wait a minute.
Right there.
Wait a minute. Hey, Wheelie.
Oh god.
I like that.
Let's use that to some degree. Okay, so a couple awesome things about Wheelie. I think he catches a lot of shit, but his whole TF wiki. I don't know if you looked.
I didn't even read it
in your. So Wheelie's whole entry in TF wiki
And that
is
is
written in
the-
rhyme.
Oh,
the
no.
whole thing from beginning to end.
Well, that in and of itself is
is
irritating.
a rhyme. I don't know. That's an amazing amount of talent.
Or
You might find
one might say
irritating.
waste of time.
Well, I find it amazing.
Ugh.
And I disagree with your
I
assessment completely.
can't read. I would not be able to read more than I'm gonna.
I don't know what's going
I
on.
just transformed Wheelie, and he does not. He's
No,
interesting.
in the G1 Transformer toy version of Wheelie, his face is essentially in his chest. There were some animation differences.
That's a terrible toy. I had
as
that.
well.
I had that toy.
Yeah, it's not
Sorry.
great.
All right, please continue.
It's not great by any means. A few Wheelie facts for you guys that I have. So, first of all, he's quite disliked, and
Pretty universally.
and among his own detractors, his own designer Floro Derry hated Wheelie.
What?
Hated the
In what way?
Hated the look of him.
What?
Hated everything. Hated the character. Just
I don't know.
didn't like him.
You can't blame that first part on anybody else.
I know. I mean, it is what it is. There's not much detail around it other than just he hated
he just
Wheelie.
doesn't like it.
Yeah.
All right.
His original color models were black and yellow.
black and yellow, black and yellow.
I'm trying to shift through here and see if I can find it. But his original color models were black and yellow, which I'm assuming they changed because they kind of were setting him up to be the next Bumblebee. In the season 3, he hangs out with
Daniel.
the human character. But I'm assuming they did it either to maybe prevent confusion of maybe people thinking that it was Bumblebee. But there are some original models or sheet models of the character that are in black and yellow, and they were recently, maybe back in the early 2000s, sold by none other than Ron Friedman himself.
What?
He had his hands on these and sold them at auction.
Oh, like
shit.
the early demo models.
The early color models.
We got to get Ron on the show.
That is definitely
Not happening.
going
So
to happen.
it looks like Wheelie has like a cap on.
Well, right. So this it was an early model. It changed actually. If I were to go to,
Is he like a backpacker? Is he like kind of like a
well, he's a kid.
college backpacker?
He's a kid, and he. Let me see here. Movie bloopers. Let me go to Wheelie.
Will he age to become like a cup-like character? Like, does that happen?
Sure, eventually.
I mean, okay. So here you could see. This is more similar to what we just saw a second ago. So what we're seeing here. I don't know if this is keepable, but
Probably
this is
not.
the original character model. But you could see that the color is different, but the design is the same as this here on the left.
Yeah.
And ultimately, he changed into this. He still does have a cap on his head, but he became a little bit, I don't know, I guess a more bulky. you could see some differences here. Now, when we look at some images from the Wild Boy on Quintessa, which we'll get to in a second, this character model is still the one that is being used. But at any rate, so the actor who voiced Wheelie, let's talk about him for a second. He's dead.
Oh, just right up top, getting that out.
Behind the mic, because his name is Frank Welker.
You got me. I actually didn't know that, and for a second just completely flew out of my mind.
Well done, sir.
Yeah, you bet. The story of Wheelie is detailed in a children's book that I believe I owned it at one point in time. I purchased it.
I had it.
Oh, right now?
No, I had it. I don't have it now.
Or maybe if I didn't purchase it, maybe I read your version. I feel like it was one of those book fair books that you would get at school.
Yeah, it might have been.
And but anyway, it's called The Wild Boy, Wheelie, the Wild Boy of Quintessa, children's storybook. And it's the story of Wheelie on Quintessa, and it details out that the ship he was on with his parents crashed. They died. He was captured by Quintessons. He escaped. Essentially lived kind of a Mowgli-like life in the jungles of Quintessa, which are much more organic looking in the book
life
than they are in the movie. And I don't know if it's necessarily canon, because in this story, Hot Rod, Cup, RC, and the Dinobots crash on Quintessa, but it has nothing to do with the movie we've seen up to this point. They're on a supply mission, and the reason the ship is crashed is because Grimlock, of course, accidentally overloaded it. And that caused it to go out of control and crash.
I don't remember that part.
After meeting
He hit
Wheelie,
the reverse button.
Yeah. And in this instance, it's the one time it didn't work.
So they meet Wheelie, they battle the Quintessons and the Sharkticons, and they leave the planet together and live happily ever after. I like to think that in the movie, the canon movie version of what we see, that those shredded corpses that we see in the cell, Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, I think those are Wheelie's
His parents.
That's
So-
a really dark version of this.
He seems awfully chipper for his family just being murdered.
He's been on there a while. We're looking at a picture on TF Wiki of Wheelie, and it's from that Wild Boy of
I believe that's on the
book.
cover, actually.
And
No, the cover's different.
He's got a sling, as you mentioned, like kind of that traditional, like in the
David
movie
and
we see a
Goliath.
slingshot. This is kind of that David and Goliath biblical style sling, and he also has
a lightsaber.
a lightsaber. Don't know what that's all about, but anyway, so that's Wheelie. You like him?
I like the story. I don't
Yeah.
like the characterization of
Yeah.
him in the movie.
He's just annoying.
I'll agree with
He's
Ryan
just an
there.
annoying character.
I'll give Frank Welker one bad one. He gets one bad voice.
But he does lots of annoying voices. Like, he's the king of annoying voice. If you need a
Annoying voice.
Oh no. No.
Wheelie say you're gonna pay.
So that brings us to the time of the episode where we talk about those
Script deviations.
do a script deviation rhyme.
Something like, don't hesitate to deviate.
I was thinking more along the lines of, I know you're in the middle of procreation.
Now it's time for a script deviation.
Those were both terrible.
I like how he finished. He
You
started
do better.
And I can't. But I didn't stop the show to do it.
So this is Aaron, and as everybody knows, my script is a little closer to what we see on screen, but there's still some interesting little, diversions. And my script refers to Wheelie. We just talked about the book, The Wild Boy of Quintessa. My script refers to Wheelie as the Wolf Boy of Quintessa.
So just straight up Jungle Book.
Yeah. It does not mention his backstory it also mentions his story about his parents' ship crashing. So there's like this whole paragraph about his parents' ship crashed there. They died in the crash, and that. But it's interesting that they never talk about that in the movie. It also says that he wears a necklace of Sharkticon teeth,
Like in the Big Looker book.
Yeah. Packs a 3-bladed laser knife. I guess that's what that is supposed to be, without
lightsaber-looking
minus
thing, yeah.
2 blades. And has a special sling in which he hurls fire stones. Sling versus slingshot. We've already covered this. His intro to the Dinobots, as opposed to what we heard, is, "Many-face lie, you fool. you buy.
That's more confusing.
That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. I think I know where he's going with the mini-face lie thing. A little warning. Don't know about the fool buy thing, but like buy their stories. They don't. It's not like they have any stories. They they just kill you.
Well,
anyway, Ryan, take it over, please.
That may actually play in to mine. If you remember from last episode, we were just on. Grimlock had said that he's sensitive to his to Hot Rod and Cup, and then the Dinobots make fun of him, and then Sludge says, "Oh, what's sensitive mean?" And Grimlock roars angrily, "Shut your face is what it means. Me Grimlock say friends close, you see."
Oh, he's rhyming again?
Nah,
There's no rhyming.
there's not. That's not.
But the way
rhyme.
you said it was very.
It was,
it was like
yeah.
an iambic pentameter. or some
Pentameter,
shit.
yeah.
I was expecting a rhyme.
And then he looks down and sees a Sharkticon. The Sharkticon opens its jaws wide and takes a bite out of Grimlock, chews for a brief beat, and then, just as Grimlock is complaining and reaching down to squash him, pulls away, spits out bits of the Dinobot hide metal, and makes a face, sticking out his tongue and making terrible sounds like a baby who tastes liver and can't wait to get rid of
like
it.
raspberry.
Yeah. And so Grimlock says, "Get off, you thing." So, okay, the Grimlock reaches down to smash the Sharkticon. It runs across the bridge through a small doggy door-like entrance beside the larger castle door. "Me Grimlock no like little chompers. Come back so I can mash you." And so, as Sharkticon is...
I like we're building the history, but
it's so crazy.
The Sharkticons and the Dinobots. That'll
It's
pay off
really
later
odd.
for us in the real movie,
A little
I
bit.
suppose.
That's why it was so tough to like organize this. But the Sharkticon runs in and talks to other Sharkticon guards who listen to him act out the fact that he has tasted a huge thing, which tasted terrible.
He acts it out.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, the Sharkticon pantomimes?
Because I guess they
Yes.
can't talk.
Yeah.
I don't know. Does he talk?
No, not really.
No, he acts it out.
He just says blah.
Only the
Is that what
Alicons
says?
Yeah, he says blah. Yeah. And then Grimlock and the other Dinobots start for the door, and it opens, and a smiling Quintesson comes out. "Greetings, noble strangers." And Grimlock says, "Yes, me Grimlock, noble, but you stranger, not Grimlock." And there's this whole, I'm going to skip all this because it's a back
This
and
sounds
forth.
like
It's exhausting.
This sounds like the scene in Wizard of Oz where they get to the entrance to the Emerald City.
But yeah,
It's more just like the whole thing in this
Yeah.
script earlier where Bumblebee like reverse psychologies Grimlock into thinking he's smart. That's exactly what this Quintesson does, and it's stupid. He basically tells him, "Oh, your friends aren't here. Go away now." And so they do. And they lumber off, Swoop cackling as he mutters, "Grimlock wrong, Hee HEE, Grimlock wrong." And then
Because he flew over the shit and he was like, "There they are."
the lead Quintesson says, "They'll return, and when they do, they must not find their friends here." His face rotates. "I sentence them to consumption." His death head appears. And then,
it's at the fifth face.
yeah,
Wait a minute. What was that sentence in consumption in reference to? The
Hot Rod and Cup. He's
Oh,
like
so
the
that's
Dino. He
happening
thinks the
as-
Dinobots are going to come back because he
Okay.
led them off,
They
but
gotta
they're
get
going to
rid
come
of
back.
'em.
Okay.
And then we
Good
have the long
So
shot.
at this moment in the movie, we're dealing with something we haven't actually seen on screen yet, which is Hot Rod and Cup's.
Well, they haven't done it yet. He's saying we need to do that now.
Okay.
And then we cut to the Galvatron in deep space. He flies toward the camera, reacts to sounds of the soda straw sucking and lip smacking, in which the cold beam, as Ingester's energy-draining straw, keeps sucking up all that shit. And Galvatron says, "Hear me, Ingester! I, Galvatron, demand an audience! I..." Looks up, off, aghast. "Ingester!" And then we'll cut there.
All right. I've got no iconic moment. Do you guys have an iconic moment on this one?
I actually didn't even write anything down because I'm like, this moment sucks.
It's
This
yeah.
minute's not great.
No, it's,
Well, we can just skip it. Do your thing.
Next time on the Autopod Decepticast.
whoa.
Galvatron and Ultra Magnus have a progress checkpoint meeting. You know what those are like, guys. You're in business, aren't you?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Every now and again.
I'm a project manager
And Blur
every fucking day. Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
and our friend Blur welds everything in sight.
Oh.
Well,
That's right.
Okay.
All that happens.
Yeah.
So listen. Tell your friends to listen. Tell your grandma to listen. Tell your great grandma to listen. God help
grandmother's-
us. I hope she's alive.
My grandmothers are dead.
And I assume that means they're great-grandmothers.
Nope, they're alive and kicking.
Oh, cool.
They're 120 years old.
Excellent.
It's amazing.
Tell all of these people that...
I will.
And they're like, what's a podcast?
What's a transform mirror?
They're definitely like, what's tune in? Because I don't even know what the fuck tune in is.
They say like, Granny say, what you say? I don't know.
And that's you're like, Grandma, saying. That's not a rhyme. You just said the same word twice. You fucking old bitch. I'm glad you're in a home.
Listen to the show, everybody, on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, and TuneIn. Follow us on our social media, Twitter, Facebook, and, of course, Instagram. I say of course because we do so much there.
Instagram is fallow. It's like, if you go in increasing order of importance, it's Instagram, Facebook, and then Twitter, which is pretty much all the media on Twitter.
I did finally post something on Instagram this week for the first time in maybe 2 months.
Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter.
I don't even remember.
Was it the gift?
Every now and again you get something good.
No, it wasn't.
But regardless, all of them are at APOD Decast. And of course, the web presence, the thing that we would love to be the most popular thing in the world, but probably isn't. Because we put so much extra stuff up there.
There is a lot of extra content.
AutopodDecepticast.com. Ryan, Jet, what do you think goes up there this time around?
I'll try to isolate that background music from or at least put like that bit for where Wheelie, I guess Wheelie theme. Is it
I don't know what
that is? I'll put some pictures of the Big Looker books with the Wheelie and the burning coal sling. Maybe. See if I could find an actual picture of this mythological sweater that Caleb says existed with patches on it.
I tried. If you find it, good for you. I tried and I could not find it.
I think you might have dreamed it.
I have a photo actually wearing it. It's a.
You gotta find it then.
It's a junior high like homecoming photo, and I have it on and the necklace. I will find it.
All right. Let's see that bling.
All of that you'll find at AutopodDecepticast.com. Rate, subscribe, bye everybody.
Bye.
Bye. Wheelie say, have a nice day.
Oh, boy.
Hi everybody, my name's Steve and I'm here to promote my new show, Steve's Cybertron. This is a show where we talk all about Cybertron. And let's see what Steve's got up his sleeves for Cybertron. Well, as we all know, it's a planet that's inhabited by sentient machines, and there's a civil war that's going on, and they don't get along. It's the Autobots and the Decepticons. And what's good?
That really went nowhere. That voice is hard to do. Kind of started bleeding into some Bill Cosby there. That's never good. Nah, we can't do that voice anymore. All right, well, time for the boys to come down. We're gonna get this. We're gonna get this thing started. Okay, whatever.
And of course, it was awesome. It's DJP show. That's badass. Yeah, haven't been to one of those in a long time.
Nope. What if he still does stuff around town?
I bet we could find out pretty easily.
Sure.
Did you do any After Darks?
No, I have one in the bank that's going on an episode soon. So.
One that you did at your homestead?
All right. It's like, I think I recorded it between 2 and 3 last time we recorded. You wouldn't remember.
Why?
Because you were a thresher. I did try to do a new bit. I was like, "Hi, my name is Steve, and this is Steve Cybertron, and we're gonna talk about everything Cybertron. Let's see what Steve's got up his sleeves for Cybertron." And that was basically all I did, and it didn't go anywhere else after that. Yeah.
Don't want them animals coming in. I'm talking about the children.
Zing.
I like your Steve Cybertron bit. Please work that
So
out.
Steve,
Yeah, I might have to work
your sleeve.
I like the sleeve bit, but that's as far as it went, and then it just fell completely apart. And I started talking about there's these robots, and then it started sounding like Bill Cosby. And
Everything eventually evolves to Bill Cosby, right?
have you? So not to. I know that I talk about West all the time and stuff like that, but because we're just together all the time. But we went to visit a friend of hers in Oklahoma last weekend, and we were there for like 4 or 5 hours, and I don't know. This happens all the time where I bring up cults or serial killers, and they actually were interested.
As the listeners would recognize.
Absolutely, and they were actually interested in. I said 3 or 4 times, "Are you sure you want to hear this story?" Because they were vague on the story of Jonestown. So I spent like 35 minutes explaining top to bottom what happened from Jim Jones's beginnings to.
Is this like a captive
Jonestown.
audience too? Like they're all sitting around listening.
We
to
were
you?
at their house. They asked me to do this, and I was like, "Are you sure?" Because it's
He doesn't understand social graces. He's doing his best to warn them
Yeah, that's true.
what they're in
And
for.
I was like, at several points in it, I'm like, I was like, I can stop or whatever. But it was an interesting experience just because I'm like, I wonder if at the end of it, if because I was a little drunk also, but if I crystallized it well enough, and they were like, no, that makes sense, and I'm, it was just
making
like,
you feel better. It was a great story.
It's good.
yeah, they're patting me on the arm.
It makes
and
sense. It makes sense.
It's a weird one because Jim Jones, among all cult leaders, he's one that actually did do
he followed
good.
through.
Well, no, not only that, but like he did legitimately good things early on in his career. Like I genuinely believe he was against segregation and racism, and in Indianapolis, he was instrumental in desegregating that city. And like most of his congregation was black, like especially at the end, and
Even the death congregation. I didn't know
like
that.
well over like 60% of them. Were
I didn't
black.
know that.
But yeah, and he adopted. They called it his rainbow family. He adopted a bunch of kids like that were different race. Jim Jones and his wife were the first white couple to adopt a black child in Indiana.
All right, well. Jim Jones apologist Ryan Jett.
Well, no. He was
APDC zone.
he was a monster, but he did like it was weird just to see that he did legitimately do good things and such a wasted potential of like what he could have been, and just it was too much of a narcissist and psychopath, and
It overtook him.
He ended up murdering 918 people.
Blow cells, where we sell good.